If you live in a cooler climate, undercover growing space is some of the most precious space you can have to extend your season. This video I'm going to show you how to build this super sturdy hinged hoop house that you can use to extend your season and grow more food. To make the hoop beds, there's 3 different types of wood. The main one here is 3x2s. So it's got to be kind of thick because we're going to be drilling holes to put the pipes into, but it's light enough. You don't need like a 2x4, that's a little bit too big. The other one is 2 roofing batterns. These are going to be extra support to stop the hoop part from caving in, just so we can keep this nice and strong. And then the final bit is any kind of thin bit of wood like this. All of the names and measurements are down below, both in metric and imperial, and this is to help, once the plastic covering goes on, this is to help pin it into place. To make this last longer, no wooden parts are going to be coming into contact with the soil, so you're very welcome to use treated timber to give you a few extra seasons of use. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the base. So this bed here is roughly 3x1 meters. I'm going to include some measurements to, depending on your bed sizes, it could be 3x1.2, which is what I used for the main hoop beds here. And I'm just going to place these down. I've got both ends, and you want to make sure that there's a slight lip over the top of the bed when you are assembling it. So it's easy when it's going to be hinged, you can grab the lip and you can pull the hoop bed up. And so what I'm going to do here is now I'm going to have to cut these longer bits to size. I'm just making sure it all lines up fine at the other end, and I'm making it so it meets in line with this sideboard. And then this one is going to go on the outside, and I'm going to cut it right there, which means that there's another lip here to act as an extra handle for moving it up and down. So the goal is, on the internal side, there's no overhang of wood, because we have an overhang, you can have shadows casting. So it's nice and flush on the inside, lip on the outside. I'm going to use the piece that I just cut to measure the wood so I can get this end done as well. I'm now going to drill 2 screws into this corner, just so this can be nice and sturdy. If you just use 1 screw, you'll see that this bit of wood would start spinning about, and you don't want that. You're now going to repeat this for the 3 other corners. Now, a different design is that if you have got narrow pathways, you can, on the back, so this is south facing, this is the north end, put it flush to the outside of the board for the hinge. So there will be a little bit of overhang here, but because it's south facing, you're not going to get any shadow, and it's not really going to compromise any of the growing space inside. The base has been put together. The next thing is to measure the midpoint on the end piece, because we're going to be attaching the upright support. So here it's at 104 centimeters. So at 52 centimeters, I'm just going to mark. And I've marked the midpoint of the widest part of the 2x3. Now you line up this support bit to the base, and you're going to put 2 screws from the bottom, so this is going to be nice and sturdy. So now at that end it's flush. This end I'm just seeing how much I need to cut off so it can fit in nicely. So I'm just going to make a mark there. And again, it's going to be 2 screws going in to secure this. And for this build, it's always useful to have a glamorous assistant. I've now cut the blue piping to length. At the end, just make sure that the two screws are far enough apart so you can drill the pilot hole, and that's going to slot into there, and that's going to slot into there. And we'll come to attaching this at the top a little later on. But the next thing for me to do is to measure the length, and it depends how many cross sections you want. Kind of the more the stronger. I'm going to go for 6 in between. You can definitely get away with 4. But to work that out, I'm going to measure the length between the two pipes, divide it by 7 so I can fit in the 6th, because the 7th is going to be the one at the end. Okay, so this length is 300 centimetres long, which means I'm going to put in a pipe basically every 43 centimetres along the length. And just to make sure it's the right depth for consistency, I've got a mark on this bamboo just to make sure that it sits just under that mark, and that is absolutely perfect. Before I screw the pipes onto the cross support, I'm going to make a pilot hole and connect them all to the base. So I'm going to go just under 1 inch, so like 2 centimetres down, and drill into the piping through. So from the end pieces, I'm going to make sure that they're ever so slightly overhanging the wood, because when we put the plastic on, we don't want the plastic kind of up against the sharp wood. So this is going to just help protect it and stop it from ripping. We're now going to measure this support piece of timber that's going to go either side, just to help keep it nice and strong, and then cut it to size. So these thinner bits of wood is what we're going to use to pin down the plastic, and the length wasn't quite long enough. This is just 2.4 meters, so I'm just going to have to cut a little bit extra to make sure it runs the full span, and we're going to just tack them into place. So it's Wales and we've had a lot of rain, so it's a bit muddy, but we're still making the most of this. What we've done is we've got the longer, thinner strips of wood that we've rolled around on firstly the back long length, and we've pinned it in, and then here we've been rolling it, but we've been adding a little bit more tension. It's a bit like making a light for a hotbed. So we roll it around the plastic, and then one more roll, pull it down so this has some nice tension, and then you pin it in. So now the two sides are sorted. Everything's just going to come together properly when we do the ends. We're also making life harder for ourselves by making it in a confined area. So if you only have a small garden, you should be able to do it as well. So now there's a little bit of excess plastic. We're just going to cut this off so it's a little bit more friendly for when we're going to kind of pleat the ends and finish it basically. This is so nice. So with the pleats, we're doing alternating sides. We're pleating this one and then this one, and we're working back along towards the outside. So there's this bit of wood here now at the end that we're going to tack on, and then run kind of like a Stanley knife underneath just to tidy up any of the overhanging plastic so it'll look nice and smart. And look how satisfying those pleats are. And now for the most satisfying part. And now is the simple task of adding the hinges. Right, moment of truth. There you go. Also, a lot of you don't have space for a polytunnel in the garden, and also a polytunnel, it requires some investment. And so building a hinged hoop house allows you to enjoy the benefits of a polytunnel, but without the expense or without requiring the area. And so you can grow things like, for me, it means I can grow aubergines and peppers and bush tomatoes in an alternative environment. The other really important thing is the ambient temperature that you get over winter. It allows you to overwinter more crops. It allows you to keep crops free of snow. So that's where you could grow all of your winter salads, for example. Plus, there's a saying that for every layer of covering, you gain an additional 4 weeks at the start and at the end of the season. This is a design that we've come up with that focuses on quality and longevity, and it features in the self-sufficiency garden. So the book is now here. Look at that beautiful thing. It's got all of the dimensions for the hoop house as well, the hoop beds, and it is just a core part of what we've done for success, for growing, enough veg. You can see them in action there for 4 adults for 5 portions a day, every day of the year. This is available for pre-order. There's a link down below. Whilst you're waiting for your pre-ordered copy to arrive, watch this video here, which shows you just what is possible in terms of how much food you can grow from a small space.